Tuesday, April 15. Hosea's harlot wife. God's request of the prophet Hosea may be one of the strangest assignments ever given to one of his servants: marry a harlot on purpose. But God was using Hosea to help us understand from his own perspective the pain of human sin and rebellion. God had lovingly chosen a wife, Israel, who repeatedly cheated on him, and yet, astonishingly enough, he took her back and restored her. Compare Hosea 1 verse 2, Hosea 3 verse 1, Revelation 17 verses 1 and 2, and Revelation 18 verses 1 to 4. Hosea 1 verse 2. When the Lord began to speak by Moses, the Lord said to Hosea, "Go take yourself a wife of harlotry, and children of harlotry, for the land has committed great harlotry by departing from the Lord." Hosea 3 verse 1. Then the Lord said to me, "Go again, love a woman who is loved by a lover, and is committing adultery, just like the love of the Lord for the children of Israel, who looked to other gods and loved the raisin cakes of the pagans." Revelation 17 verses 1 and 2. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, "Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot, who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication." And Revelation 18 verses 1 to 4. After these things I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illuminated with his glory. And he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, "Babylon the great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hated bird. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have become rich through the abundance of her luxury." And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues." What is the harlotry mentioned here? What lessons can the Christian church learn from the story of Hosea? In what ways has the church repeated the sins of the Old Testament? The Bible reveals that the errors of Israel in the Old Testament would be largely repeated by Christ's New Testament church. God's covenant people went wildly astray prior to their exile, bringing the idolatrous practices of neighboring nations into God's covenant nation. In the early 4th century, the Christian church, sensing a potential advantage, courted the Emperor of Rome, Constantine, and invited him to start settling the disputes of the church. In each case, God's people wandered outside of their relationship with him in order to find solutions for perceived problems. God's choice of words makes it seem obvious that he is not only trying to show us what we've done wrong, but also sharing how it makes him feel. Those who have been betrayed by a spouse can begin to grasp the feelings of devastation that our infidelity to Christ might stir in the courts of heaven. Perhaps the most amazing part of Hosea's story is the lengths to which the prophet went to redeem his wayward wife. When we see the final cry to humanity, calling God's people to come out of Babylon, it is noteworthy that he is calling his own people and not strangers. He knows them intimately. He loves them. And as the world pitches toward its worst hour, he is still offering the redemption price that he had paid in order to purchase us back with his own blood. The cross of Christ, more than anything else, should show us just how earnestly the Lord wants to save his wayward people. What are the ways today that any church, even our own, can be dallying with spiritual
April 15.
fornication?
Hosea's harlot wife. In symbolic language, Hosea set before the 10 tribes God's plan of restoring to every penitent soul who would unite with his church on earth the blessings granted Israel in the days of their loyalty to him in the promised land. Referring to Israel as one to whom he longed to show mercy, the Lord declared, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her, and I will give her her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope, and she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Ishi, my husband, margin, and shalt call me no more Baali, my Lord, margin. For I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. Hosea chapter 2, verses 14 to 17. In the last days of this earth's history, God's covenant with his commandment-keeping people is to be renewed. In that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely. And I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness, and in judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercies. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know the Lord. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, saith the Lord, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth, and the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, Thou art my people, and they shall say, Thou art my God. Verses 18 to 23. Prophets and Kings, pages 298 and 299. Here is shown the Lord's reluctance to give up his shining people. And lest Israel had so far neglected his reproofs and warnings as to let them pass from their memory, he delays his judgments upon them and gives them a full rehearsal of their disobedience and aggravating sins from the days of Josiah down to their own time, and of the judgments he had pronounced in consequence of their transgressions. Thus they had another opportunity to see their iniquity and repent. In this we see that God does not delight in afflicting his people, but with a care that surpasses that of a pitying father for a wayward child, he entreats his wandering people to return to their allegiance. The Warnings of God Rejected, in Testimonies for the Church, Volume 4, page 176.